All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. Thank you for joining this workshop on values and career exploration. Today's workshop, we'll be going over just your values, passions, and skills. By discovering those, that will help you determine what career you potentially want to pursue. You'll also just learn tips and tricks on career exploration that not only you can utilize in college, but beyond as well. But before we fully get started, I would like to for the presenters to introduce themselves. I will be one of the presenters. So my name is Elias Romero. I'm a CSF college coach, and I support students attending Seattle Central College, Seattle University, Seattle Pacific University, and Northwest University.
Hi, everyone. My name is Micah Dowell. I'm also a CSF coach. I work with Elias on the South King County team, and I work specifically at Green River College.
Hi there, folks. I am Avery, and I support students as a college coach at Olympic College and Peninsula College over on the west side here.
All right, so first things first, please fill out this pre-survey. This pre-survey will just help us understand your knowledge and the thoughts about some of the topics that will be covered in this workshop. It is anonymous. There are no wrong answers, and it should only take you about 3 to 5 minutes. If you can go ahead and just scan the QR code to access the survey, or actually click the link in the chat, which I'm putting in there right now. And yeah, go ahead and just fill that survey out. It shouldn't take you too long, about 3 to 5 minutes. Once you're completed with the survey, if you can just give a thumbs up in the chat or just a reaction, just so we know when you guys complete it. All right, well, thank you guys so much for completing that pre-survey, and we're gonna go ahead and get started.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start off just by encouraging, but not requiring, that if you have the ability to go on camera, to go ahead and do that. It's much easier to engage with each other in these breakout rooms or in the big groups if we know who we're talking to. So go ahead and do that if you feel comfortable doing so. So the first thing I want to do is get us kind of into our first activity, get our brain juices flowing. So in the chat, I want you to just come up with a few things, a few jobs that you believe are very difficult. So go ahead and just type those in, come on camera if you can, and let's get started with this activity. And anyone can put it in the chat. Anyone can put in a difficult job that they know about or that they think might be a difficult job. Anything that's hard at all. There we go. A professor, construction, probably construction worker, teaching, kind of like professor, neurosurgeon for sure. Astronaut, doctor. So seeing a lot of doctor, neurosurgeon, surgeon.
Okay.
Nursing, same thing, very similar. Deep sea welding. I believe that's one of the most dangerous jobs, if I remember correctly. EMT, lots of healthcare stuff. Awesome. Thank you all for starting off with that. So what I'm going to ask for now is it looks like we have about 27 participants. So how about what do you think, Elias? Maybe 6 to 7 groups or 5 groups altogether, just so we have a shorter share out time at the end. We're going to be getting into breakout rooms and we're going to talk about these difficult jobs, just get us thinking about them. So I'm putting it in the chat as well. So in your breakout rooms, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be selecting one job that was put in the chat as a group. And I want you to come up with answer 2 of these questions. The first one is, what skills do you believe a person would need to succeed at that specific job? Again, choose one job and answer it. And the same job, you want to have the next question is going to be what you believe would drive a person to want to do that job in the first place. So that's all we want you to do in your group. And one final thing is we're going to come out and share. So I also want you to pick a leader that's going to share out from each of the different groups to give your answers from what you came up with in your breakout rooms. So we're gonna, it says 7 minutes, but we're probably gonna give around only 5 minutes for y'all to come up with that. So any questions on this? It should be a really simple, easy, quick one, but if there are any questions, please go ahead and ask them now. Awesome. Great. Well, Elias, do you have the rooms ready for us? All right, so we will call you back in 5 minutes. Remember to pick a leader to share out. See y'all soon. Cool.
I was thinking like there's 2 CSF scholars, but I forgot Aurora's on that as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into some of the rooms in a little bit after they get going, but otherwise, good to go.
Yeah, it's great. We got 5 rooms worth of people.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
there's quite a bit of people that attended.
What? How many coaches is there still 10 coaches?
1, 2.
Brenda's coming in.
I see 9 students so far are in the rooms. Yeah.
Cool.
Looks like Brenda's in. Okay. Yeah.
I think there's like 13 coaches, I believe.
Cool. So about half.
Oh, here's another student coming in.
Should I go ahead and assign this student to a breakout room, or should we just?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, but I'll explain it.
Okay.
Hi, Maggie? Or
Yes.
Mag? Hi. So we're in breakout rooms right now, but don't worry about it. I'm going to assign you to a room and you can just follow along with what they're doing. It's nothing too deep and difficult. Does that sound okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, well, let's assign you to room 1. Hello, Brenda.
Hey y'all, how's it going?
Good
It's
stuff.
going all right.
See, I'm being supportive and showing up to the webinar.
Oh, stop it. Oh, stop. I'm about to put you in a room right now just because of that.
You
I
guys
was
are
gonna
still
say, room
recording. You
5's
guys
got
didn't.
room.
You guys didn't pause it.
Are we supposed to? I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, because then you just have this ongoing video.
Yeah,
how do
people
you?
can skip it.
Yeah.
Just don't say your deepest secrets or anything. All right, I'm gonna check out some of these rooms just for fun. Do you have a good timing, Elias, and when you? I'm assuming you didn't put 5 minutes. You just are just gonna eyeball it.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and join group 5, I guess.
All right. It looks like most rooms are pretty much finished, so we can end it if you have like a 30 or 60-second timer. I don't know if you.
I don't know if it does. I wanted to check that out. It says close all rooms, but I don't know if it's gonna give
Yeah,
me
so
60 seconds.
if you click on that, it should tell you how many seconds you wanted to do it. If you want to close them immediately or give them a 50-second countdown.
Yeah, it seems like this is gonna be immediately.
It
We'll
doesn't give
see.
you the
I
option
mean,
as soon as you click on like end breakout room.
It just says close breakout rooms or close
Yeah,
all rooms.
so if you say close all rooms, it should give you the option right after that.
Oh, all participants, but oh yeah, it says in 6 seconds. So I'll go ahead and close
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
cool.
I just hope that all of them can return to the main session and it doesn't leave. I'm pretty sure I did that.
No, you're good. It will close the breakout rooms, and they all should be pushed to the main room.
Yeah. And they can either end it immediately or they can wait for the countdown to end, but everyone will be pushed back to the meeting room.
Have we had more folks join the main session?
Not sure.
It doesn't seem like all have joined yet.
Still got 4 seconds. Coming all in now. All right, thanks everyone. So we're going to go into some share outs from each of the groups. So if you were in room 1, who was your leader? That had Kevin, Gabby, Mandy. Who was the leader that wanted to share out the answers to the questions?
I nominated. I was nominated to speak for the group.
Voluntold, got it. Go ahead.
So we chose nursing, and what our group members mentioned for someone to be successful and passionate with nursing is having like a dedication to helping people, being disciplined, and just like a innate drive to want to be positive and like make the world a better place. And then were there other follow-up questions that I'm missing?
No, just the real quick activity at the beginning. So yeah, just what skills and what drives them. You answered that great. Thank you for that. Let's go to room
Well-
2. That had Ariana, JP, Kalina in there. Who was the leader in that wanted to share out the answers that you came up with? Leo, Sophie, you were both in that room as well. So Leo, who was the leader of that group that was going to share out?
I can do it myself.
Great.
So, to be honest, I was the only student in that group, and it was interesting. I would say that the job that we choose, it was being a professor, a teacher.
Okay.
I think that's one of the hardest jobs that somebody can have right now. And one of the skills that we see that is very required in that job, it will be patience. I think patience is key once you're teaching somebody else, because you need to have a lot of patience once you're like having one-on-one conversations and teaching somebody a skill. Somebody sometimes, I don't know, an idea or share something. So I think it's very admiring in my side as a student to see all these teachers doing their job, even though sometimes they don't want to show up.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it is, I think it's very hard sometimes for them, even though because they don't not only teach their subject, they only teach also like manners, respect, trying to bring everybody into the room, hearing everybody's side. So I think it's very, I don't know, I'm so like proud of sometimes the teachers I have that really like make an impact in my life. So I think that's my thing that I want to share with y'all.
Yeah, that sounds great. What do you think would be something that would drive someone to do that job in the first place?
I have a friend that she's a teacher of kindergarten, and the first time we talked, I asked the same thing, and she told me that like leaving an impact on kids, bringing like a legacy to them. It's just like the fact that they can remember me and remember all these things that I did with them when I was like so younger.
Yeah,
That's what will bring fulfillment to my heart. So I
no, that
think
makes sense. Thanks, Leo, for for those answers. Let's
don't
go to
worry.
room 3. Room 3 had Diane, Elizabeth, Liz, Masi. Who was the leader there that could maybe share out the answers to the questions asked? Room 3 had Diane, Liz, Masi, Rajane, and Zara. Did y'all nominate
Oh,
someone to share out?
yeah, I'm the leader. I couldn't remember what group I was in, so I
No
was like,
problem.
okay. Yeah, my name is Rajane.
Yeah.
So we chose underwater welding
Oof.
as a difficult job, and skills we believe a person would need to do to succeed is one, be a good swimmer, be like comfortable in the water. And then also they need to have the ability to hold their breath for a long period of time, and also have the ability, or also know how to use an oxygen tank, I guess, because you probably have to conserve your oxygen while you're underwater. And then also you would need to know how to use the welding materials, also know how to weld. And what would drive somebody to do this job would probably be money, because that is a dangerous job. So, you know, you could possibly lose your life. So you should get paid for your risk taking.
No, that totally makes sense. Thanks, Rajane. Yeah, definitely a dangerous and hard job. Thank you again. So room number 4, that had Deanna, Harmony, Kelsey, and LaKendrick. Who was going to share out from that group?
We did not nominate, but I can share. In our group, so my suggestion was an astronaut. I was thinking about the movie A Million Miles Away, which if you haven't seen it, it's a really great movie from Prime. It's about an astronaut whose dream his whole life was to be an astronaut from being a child. So he worked for like 20 or 30 years to become an astronaut. Physically, mentally, he had to do the math and science, and was a professor and had all of these skills that he had to do, but it was just a life passion of his. He wanted to make his family proud. So it was like an overcoming that he needed to prove to himself, which is really cool.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, room 5. If your group did not go, that means you were in group 5. So who was the person who was going to speak out?
I got you. We also chose astronaut, so very similar. We mentioned the great point was like a clear mind. Really have to be physically, mentally astute for this role. A lot of like problem solving, teamwork, cooperation. Also just knowledge of the STEM field as well, and just adapting to being in new spaces. And one of the motivations we mentioned is, who wouldn't want to be an astronaut and explore, and especially somebody that maybe has like a big sense of adventure, desire for challenge, maybe also somebody who wants to contribute to like science and humanity by exploring the unknown. So that's what we got.
Great, thank you. And thanks everyone for doing this little activity, sharing out, getting us involved with each other. So let's move on to the next part of our session today, which is we are going to share out a tool. We're going to put that in the chat now. And while that's being shared out, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be focusing on really starting to define passions, values, and skills, and figuring out how to self-identify your own passions, values, and skills, and then giving you the tools to work with that. But today we're not going to necessarily go into your exact career path, exactly what you want to do with it. We're going to get you started, get you thinking about it. So while we're sharing this out, we'll get to it in a little bit, so you don't have to necessarily write anything in there now. In fact, please don't write anything unless told to. But we are going to move into talking about what does it mean to have these things in a career. So what comes to mind when you hear the word career? Anyone, you can just come off mute, put it in the chat. What comes to mind when you hear the word career? Long term. Right, maybe the difference between a career versus a job, because a job might be short term, but a career seems like it's long term. Passion, for sure. Experience, great. Let's go to the next slide. Kind of going off of the same question. I want you to start thinking about the 3 things we're going to be talking about today, which is passion, values, and skills. So again, just kind of in the chat or come off mute if you'd like. How would you personally, and there's no wrong answer, we're going to define it for you on the next slide, but what comes to mind when you hear the words passion, values, and skills? Maybe you can define it or come off mute. It might be easier to come off mute and maybe define one to yourself. Passion, yeah, something you want to do. Does someone want to define what they think what their values are? How would you define that? Maybe I'll call on someone. Get you all a little nervous. Yeah, values. What's important to you? Something you believe in. Absolutely. And how would you define skills? What you're good at, abilities that help you. Something I'm good at or can learn. Absolutely. Let's go to the next slide. So this is how we are going to define those three things, and they go into the equation of what you might want to be looking for in your future career. Passions is your ambition materialized that challenges you, intrigues you, or motivates you. Values, your standards of behavior and your judgment of what is important to you. And skills, your abilities and talents acquired by experience, education, and practice. So those definitions you put in the chat were spot on, for sure. So let's go into the next slide, which is, here's a thought experiment. So imagine you have a career as a teacher. The equation is you need all three of these things. You need passion, you need value, and you need skills to be good at this, at whatever career you want to go into. But think about it this way. If you are a teacher, what would happen if you, oh, that's in the next slide. So let's go to the next slide. So if you were a teacher, what would happen if you had all three of those values, but you were missing one? What would happen if you were, you had the passion and the values to be a teacher, but not the skills? I would like someone to come off mute and maybe just answer what they would think that might look like, or what that teacher might have trouble with.
I feel like it would be challenging to achieve and thrive in that teacher position if you don't have the proper skills to apply what you know and learn to it.
Absolutely. Maybe you get stuck at an entry-level job but can never move up. That might burn you out. That totally makes sense. Thank you, Harmony. What would happen if you had the passion and the skills, but you didn't have the values? Or rather, sorry, let me ask this one first. What would happen if you had the values and the skills to be a teacher, but not the passion? What would you see a teacher might look like? Have you ever seen a teacher like that, maybe? Come off mute and tell me what that might look like.
Can I share something?
Yeah, go for it, Leo.
I heard once a quote that it says like you can do the right thing with the wrong intention. And sometimes that can happen with people. And sometimes people want to do something, but because they don't have that to share or maybe to impact on students, sometimes they don't get nothing. It's just knowledge to knowledge. And
yeah,
it's not
you're asking the question that I was going to ask at the end that I accidentally asked second, which is what would happen if you had the passion and the skills, but not the values? You're doing the right thing for the wrong reason. The impact might be really low, and you might get in trouble along the way. That's great, Leo. So then the last one would be, I'll repeat again, what would happen if you just didn't have passion for the job, but you had great skills for it and you had the values for it? What might that look like? We'll get one more answer. Now, I know you all have met these kind of people. They might be yourself. They might be someone in your family. So just tell me what that looks like.
I can speak to, I think it looks like someone who's tired, burnt out. They kind of just show up and go through the motions. Yeah, I mean, I think it can be apparent if you are working with someone that has not the passion, but has the other two, what was it, skills and values, right? You can have all the skill, and most of us have a lot of skill, but if we don't have the passion, like it's not enjoyable.
Absolutely. Much easier to burn out, much easier to lose your passion, and then you're done doing it. So thanks for walking with me through that. We're just kind of defining the three parts of this equation. Thank you for being a part of this, and I'm going to pass it on now to Avery.
Yeah, thank you, Micah. So what I have dropped in the chat before, which I'll go ahead and drop in here again, is a link. This is a Jamboard that allows you to take notes. If you're somebody who prefers to take notes, just like, or draw or something on paper, feel free to do that too. But this will just help you for the last part of our session here, just to be able to kind of keep track of what we're talking about, right? As you can see, each one of these, like, you got my passions, my values, my skills, and then we'll break it down into hard skills and soft skills. These are all just different areas where if you just double click on text underneath a box, you will see that you'll be able to type in there. What I will say is that if you look at the top of the screen there for this tool, you'll notice there's a little slide deck, right? Or a little deck of cards almost. And so we'll just ask that each person has one of these cards that they're working on, so we're not all taking notes on each other's cards. And so if I can go ahead and ask Elias for some help, just maybe putting in a name and a number in the chat so that you'll know which of these cards you can work on to take some notes. But ultimately, this will be something that you can download and take with you to work with, right? To sort of remember what we talked about, maybe, you know, as a jumping off point, not only for your own reflection, but this is a great thing to be able to talk with your coach about as well. So let's go ahead and we've got the link. If there's anybody who's not able to get that link and wants to use the Jamboard, please just let me know in the chat and I can work with you on that. But if we go to the next slide, let's start off with, in some ways, kind of the funnest part, right? The passions, right? And so really, if you're like, gosh, passion, like, you know, I'm not sure really what this means, right? Or is there something I'm passionate about? These are some really good questions to ask yourself, to think about, okay, what is my passion, right? What is something that I'm really excited about? And here's ways to narrow that down a little bit. So for example, have you ever completely lost track of time while doing something? And like, think about what that was, right? If you are not somebody who's like immediately like, oh yes, I'm already passionate about this, think of something that you just get lost in, right? It could be a game. It could be playing music, right? It could be things that you might not immediately associate with the job, right? That's fine. But just think about that, right? Like, what would be something that is giving you that lost in the moment feeling, right? And so while we're talking about this, feel free to just go ahead and use that on your card, right? That drop down of, you know, list of your passions. If there's one of those things, maybe it's like playing guitar. I know that's one for me. Go ahead and thank you, Elias, for putting the slide deck list in. You can find your card if you want to use that to write on by just clicking to that number with your name. Yeah. Thank you. Another way to think about this, if that first question doesn't work for you, do you have any professional heroes, somebody whose career you'd like to emulate, right? Like somebody you're like, you know what? I really remember, you know, a coach, right? Who like was my baseball coach, and they really like inspired me, right? Not only in the game, but in life, right? And so that's, you know I want to do that, right? That's one way to think about it too. Could also be, you know, a family member, could be somebody you don't necessarily know, right? But it can be somebody that you really look up to, right? Another way to think about that. And then there's a few other questions on here, but I'll highlight just one more. Have you ever really enjoyed teaching something to someone else, right? What was it that you were teaching, right? Maybe you were showing a sibling how to cook something, right? And you just really got into it, right? And that was something you're like, oh man, I love making this recipe. It's one that I just know in my head, don't even have to write down as I tell it to somebody else, right? That can be a source of passion right there, right? Just as an example. But I want to give you some time here to think really about what are those things that you find yourself driven about, right? You don't have to rely on somebody else to tell you to do it. It's something that you want to do. Yeah. So see if you can come up with on your slide or on your own paper, right? This can be you. Just like a couple, you know, 2, maybe 3 of these things that you find yourself passionate about. Again, could be music, could be cooking, could be sport, could be, you know, engineering, right? Building things, anything. And if anybody's having an issue getting to editing that, please do let me know, because I'm happy to troubleshoot that for you. Nice. Looks like, yeah, some folks are able to edit in there. That's good. Yeah. Looks like, yeah, we'll get some tunes going while we're doing this, just working on these things. But yeah, this is really like your time to reflect on like what's fun for you, right? What really drives you. And I'll just keep giving you a little bit of time here. Feel free to ask questions though if you're like, I'm not sure what this means, passion, right? Or if you're like kind of on the fence about something, happy to answer questions in the chat or unmute. Feel free. But yeah, once I see that folks, you know, are getting to that point of having a few down on some of the Jamboard slides here, I'll just make sure we'll give you enough time for the next part too. Right. So I'm curious, is there anybody who is willing to share like what's something you're passionate about, right? Like I think I shared already. For me, I know like something I'm really passionate about is music, playing guitar specifically. I know it's just something I can get lost in, enjoy teaching other people, And I definitely have, you know, musicians I look up to, right? But yeah. Does anybody have another example, just an example of a passion? Nice. Yeah, exactly, Musty. Soccer, right? That's a huge one. It's a huge one. Yeah. And just in the game. Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else want to share another one? Art. Exactly, Zara. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely, like, a lot of people describe that as like something you just kind of get lost in, right? When you're in it, when you're doing it, drawing, painting, whatever it is, right? Softball, absolutely, Regine. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So I think this process of like really coming up with your passions, hopefully have some fun with it, right? Yeah, really enjoy thinking about what you enjoy doing. This next part, if you've got a few ideas down on your own paper on the Jamboard, thinking about your passions, let's move to the next slide. And this part, a little bit less on paper, more on something that you can pull out your smartphone for, because this is a way to think about your values, right? Thinking about taking those passions and then thinking about what's really important to you, right? And really most important to you. If you want to go ahead and take out your smartphone, and actually I'll ask Elias if we can put the link to this one in the chat as well. Thank you. The idea is this QR code, that link, will take you directly to the start of a short, free, you know, no information from you if you don't want to give it quiz, but it asks you a series of questions, right? It asks you just a series of questions to think about narrowing down what's most important to you, right? And then when you get to the end, think about maybe putting up the top 3 up to 5 of those under that sticky on the thing of my values, right? And it'll put it in its own language, right? You can put it another way if it makes sense to you. But go ahead and, if you can, click on that link. You can use the QR code. You do not need to put in your email for this one. It'll just give you the results right there on the page. But this website is just a really helpful way to take maybe around 6 to 8 minutes to really give you some time thinking about these questions, right? Just sort of narrowing things down a little bit. So let me know in the chat if that link does not work or the QR code does not work, but otherwise, I want to give you some time on this one. Maybe we can get a little music in on this one. I don't know if we're waiting, but awesome. I will say with this one, if there's ever a question you're like, I don't even know what this is asking, you can just skip it, right? You can always just go to the next one if you want. Right. You've still got some time on this. Might have to give you about 5 more minutes total just on this one. So again, if there's a question that you don't want to answer or doesn't make sense, you can skip that one. But when you get a chance to finish this one, if you could let us know just by putting a reaction in the chat, that'll let us know when we're ready to go on this one, because you're the only one who are going to get the results for this. You can choose just a few of these to put on your own notes. Thank you, Micah. Yeah. So again, just if you get close to the end there, if you want to go ahead and put a reaction in the chat, let us know where you're at. Thank you, Libertad. Yeah. Thanks, Manny. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you all. I know you could spend more time with that one, right? So feel free to save the link if it's like, I want to take more time on that one later. Absolutely. I'm curious if just quickly anybody is like, yeah, this was a value that I knew would come out top tier for me, like one of my top ones. I know for me it was like meaning, right? Like having meaningful job. That was like one of my number one top 5. Is there one of the ones that anybody wants to share just in the chat, just put out there, or unmute, your call? Yeah. No worries, no worries. So I want to give you time, you'll be taking your own notes, right, on the Jamboard or on your own piece of paper for this one too. But let's give you the last part here so that as we're wrapping up today, you've got all 3 parts together here. If we can go to the next slide. So when we talk about skills, right, I want to make sure that we spend a little bit of time on this slide because skills has a huge range of meanings to it, right? It's really important, I think, especially when we're thinking about our careers and thinking about what skills we already have and skills we want to develop, to do some of these distinguishing between soft skills and hard skills, right? And so in some ways, when you think of skills, maybe the most immediate thing that most people come to mind are what we'd call hard skills, right? Which are unique to particular occupations. So that could be like typing, right? Changing a tire, reading, playing basketball or soccer, right? Excel, spreadsheets, right? Wide range of like specific things that you do in specific careers or contexts, right? In contrast, something that sometimes people have a harder time thinking about are what's called soft skills, right? Which are personal and interpersonal skills to drive your work style, and they really dictate how you interact with a team or colleagues, right? Work with other people. And so because in some ways the hard skills can be some of the more obvious things we think of, right? Like, if I want to be a computer programmer, right, I need to know the computer programming language, right? Java, Python, whatever it is, right? But a soft skill you might need with that might be like team communication, right? So because soft skills and hard skills are a little bit different, you can see on your Jamboard that you've got kind of 2 different sections for that with a few examples under there. And I'm going to go ahead and put up a little list of soft skills in particular for you so that you can kind of jog your memory, right? Jog your thinking about, okay, what soft skills like communication, like if you are somebody who really likes listening, right? That counts as a soft skill, right? And so I would say go ahead and use the next slide on here. I know this is a little bit of small text, so sorry about that. If you're willing to take a look at this list and say, okay, here's something that I know I'm pretty good at. Maybe it's problem solving, right? Maybe it's courtesy, maybe it's reliability, right? These are things you can think about, like, you know, what do your friends say are like, these are things that we know you for, right? Humor, for example. So I'm going to give you just a minute or so, take a look at this list and choose maybe 1 or 2 to put down under those hard and soft skills, right? It's awesome. I see folks, yeah, taking good notes on Jamboards. Glad that's working for you. Nice. And so if anybody saw one that jumped out at you, would you be willing to just put it in the chat? Like, what's one that you're like, yeah, this is one I would go for, say as a soft skill of mine. I know for me, like one that jumps out is flexibility, right? Like just working on when plans change, I'm generally cool with it, right? Humor, exactly, Micah, absolutely. I like the little Groucho Marx emoji, yeah. Any other soft skills on there that jump out at folks? Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So scheduling, exactly. Yeah, team building, absolutely. Great one, Andre. Yeah. So sometimes we are maybe discounting the soft skills over the hard skills when we're thinking about these as job skills, but honestly, they're just as important, right? They really are to working in all kinds of scenarios. So if we can go to the next slide, where we're going to go ahead and tie all this together. We're going to continue putting all this together a little bit with the teacher example that we started out with, right? But right in the center of your passions, skills, and values, right, is that sweet spot for your dream job, right? And so if you want to go to the next little part here. Yeah, exactly. So at the top, you want to have overlap with those skills, right? Your verbal communication, facilitation, organization, and planning. Awesome. If those are, you know, your top skills, sort of hard and soft, passions of human learning, growth and development, subject matter. Maybe you're really passionate about history or math or science. And then values, right? What's actually important to you. Quality public education is important, or public service. Then right in that sweet spot for a teacher, right, in this scenario, is where they want to be. So, you know, feel free on your own paper, or, you know, putting in a circle on the Jamboard, putting together that statement about what is that sweet spot for you in terms of your passions, skills, and values all coming together in the same place. So I know that's a little bit of a large place to leave you here, but I want to go ahead and in these last couple of minutes, thank everybody for joining today. And as you can see on the next slide, we have a post survey. And then right after that is that raffle for 3 $50 gift certificates. So go ahead and stick around. But the post survey should be that next slide. And that is what's going to give us a chance to just see what you've learned, right? What's been important to you. Yeah, exactly. 3 gift cards, $50. Yes, thank you, Aurora. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone. While you're doing this, I did want to give a little bit of after session direction that might be really helpful. So this session was really just trying to get y'all involved with some tools to look at, get yourself thinking. We really want to encourage you to reach out to your specific CSF coach or maybe other advisors. Take some of these tools and work with them to look at what your career might look like. We only had an hour, so we couldn't really go in depth into each individual person's career path, passions, values. But we wanted to give you the tools here. Please, please, please take them, talk to your coach, work with them, set up a one-on-one, and get it going. If you're really here, that means you're curious about trying to make a pathway for your career. So take the next step, reach out, get a one-on-one, and get that started. Just wanted to say that as you're doing this post session survey. Maybe we can listen to some music as we do it as well.
Well, since it is already 2, you guys can go ahead and keep on filling out the year post survey. But in the meantime, we'll actually go ahead and do the raffle. Give me 1 second.
You see the wheel, right? Hello?
There we go. Now we see the wheel. Yep.
All right. It seems like the first winner is Leo. Thank you so much for joining this workshop. I guess you'll get more information on when you'll receive your gift card. But congratulations. Zara, congratulations to Zara. You'll be receiving a gift card. Thank you so much for joining. And last but not least, Paulina. All right. Well, congratulations to you 3. Thank you so much for attending the workshop. We'll definitely get in touch with you guys just to give you guys, make sure you guys receive those gift cards. But yeah, we can go ahead and wrap up. Appreciate everyone for joining. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And like Micah mentioned, if you do want to speak to your college coach about just some career exploration and everything, feel free to reach out to them. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to support you. But yeah, everyone have a great day, and thank you so much for joining.
Thanks you all.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You can stop the recording.
I will do that right now. Wherever that is at. Oh, here it is.
Top left.